welcome to Tennis 605's This Week on the Courts. We're really excited to be bringing you the very first episode of the show all about tennis in South Dakota. I'm Carol McKee with the Sports 605 Network, and we're here with my co-host Jessie Daw. And we're at the beautiful Huether Family Match Point. This is such a wonderful facility, Jessie.
It is. We've been open about 6 weeks here and just really enjoying our kind of opening time here.
It is. You know, the courts are full down there. We got people playing, even though they could be playing outside.
Right. Yeah, it's a nice day.
It is a nice day, but you can never count on that.
I know. No wind in here, air conditioned, climate controlled.
Oh, yeah, it's one of my new homes away from home.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to spending a lot more time here.
Awesome.
Well, folks, Tennis 605, if you have not learned a lot about us yet, is all about tennis in South Dakota. We're going to really have a focus on youth tennis, the juniors, but we'll also be covering some college tennis, a lot of high school tennis, adult tennis, and any information that we can share with you about tennis.
Yeah.
And we want you to share your news with us. So send us your good news about tennis, what's happening in your community, or if someone had a great game. We want to hear about it. You know, if they have what we call a home federal your time to shine moment, we want to know about it so that we can put it out there.
All right.
And of course we do have some great sponsors. We want to thank Home Federal Bank for their support of This Week on the Courts.
Fantastic.
So Jessie, why don't you tell people a little bit about your background?
Oh, well, I'm a Sioux Falls native and just recently moved back here in December for this position here at Huether Family Match Point. Really have been a tennis player most of my life. Started about age 9 or 10 when Wood Lake Racket Club opened up on the southwest side of town, and started taking lessons, and then just you know, I really picked it up. I really fell in love with it. So it's been a part of my life. I played in high school, I played in college, I've coached at the college level.
And you had some good singles and doubles in your junior years, right?
I did. I mean, I was pretty fortunate to be one of the top ranked players in the northern section from 14 and unders on. So I started playing national tournaments at the 14 and under level, and yeah, I was really got paired up with a good doubles partner, and we reached number 20 in the country, and then just out of the top 100 in singles.
No, that's phenomenal, though. I think sometimes people tend to get the misconception that because you're in South Dakota, you're not going to get noticed and get those opportunities. But those opportunities are everywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. You just have to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
And that old saying of be prepared when it comes along.
Yeah, there are opportunities for kids to play at so many levels and at so many different types of events, and you know, just fun events and community tennis and competitive tennis. And you know, one of the things that I really like about tennis is the fact that, you know, there is sort of a community within a community.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Tennis 605, is that this is going to help us solidify our South Dakota tennis community.
And that's what we're all about.
Yep.
So, you know, and tennis is such a great sport. You know, one of the things I took it, and as you know, I took it in college to learn how to play a gajillion years ago, and I have played, but I was never very good at it. Is it too late for someone my age to pick up the game of tennis? I can't say I'm a player.
Absolutely not. And you know, there are actually some really exciting things that have happened with tennis in the last 5 to 10 years, where new transition equipment has been developed that allows people to pick up and learn the game faster.
Wow.
So different size courts and rackets and balls that slow things down.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of times when I've had a lot of friends who have started tennis, and they get really frustrated because all they do is spend the time picking up the balls.
Yeah.
But now we have balls that bounce a little lower and a little bit slower, and
better chance of being able to get to them.
Yep, and allows people to learn a little bit easier. So
that sounds like a good idea to me, because I am a lot slower than I used to be, and I wasn't very good at it back then. And I see young ones out here. You know, we were out here for the grand opening here at Match Point, and you had a lot of young ones out there learning and taking some early tennis lessons and having a blast.
It's, you know, there's so many advantages to tennis as a sport. I mean, it's a sport that people can really play as a lifetime, and so, you know, even for kids to get a good foundation when they're younger and can learn things a little bit easier, even if they get involved in other sports, you know, in their high school years and things like that, they always have tennis that they can come back to, you know, as a really easy sport for a lifetime. And there are so many, you know, kids that I know of, or, you know, they've grown up up now, where they started as kids and then they were, college, high school and college basketball or football players or something like that, soccer players, and then they get back to it a little bit later. And it's pretty easy for them because they're athletic to pick it up, and it's easy for a lot of people to pick up.
And all you need is one partner.
Right, exactly.
And you can
a
have
lot of public courts and a lot of places to play in the state.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about all those in the next section that we're going to get into.
Okay.
But let's go a little bit more into your background, because I know that you not only played as a youth and played college. Now, where did you have your college career at?
I played at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, and that's in the Big Ten. And I just really, really enjoyed my time there. I mean, it's a really good school. It's so integral. That school is so integral in helping me become who I've become.
Yeah.
So.
And then from there, you went to Northern, right? No, you didn't go. No, that wasn't right away.
Yeah, I actually went to the University of Idaho.
That's right.
And I worked on my master's degree in sports psychology, and I was also the assistant men's and women's tennis coach there. And from there, I had 1 year in Minneapolis as a club pro at the Crosstown Club.
I forgot about that too.
Yeah, and then a head coach position at Illinois State University. And at that time, I decided to go back to school and earn my PhD in sports psychology. So I went back to the University of Illinois for that program.
Yeah, I keep forgetting we're supposed to call you Dr. Daw.
Oh no, that's okay. That's all right.
And then at Northern, you got the program up and going there.
Yeah, I was a faculty member at Northern State since 2001, and in 2006 they asked me to start up the women's college program again, and so I did that for about 5 years, and then went back to full-time faculty until I made the move here.
Yeah.
So,
and what a great move for this area to have you here.
For me, it feels like a dream. I mean, I'm just so pleased to be a part of the Sioux Falls tennis community again, and it's kind of a hotbed of tennis in South Dakota, and then just my time in Aberdeen was just wonderful. Great tennis people up there, and just to be able to continue to support tennis in the state, I think is something that I'm really pleased and humbled to be able to do.
Yeah. Well, this facility is going to help grow the game. We hope Tennis605 will help grow the game as well. Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit, Jessie, about with your sports psychology, your doctorate in sports psychology, because we're seeing more and more articles come out about sports injuries and burnout of kids that are picking one sport at a very early age. Excuse me. And a lot of folks across the country are saying that it's important to be a multi-sport athlete.
Yeah.
So, tennis, it does tie back in, because if you're playing another sport, tennis might be another good sport to add in there.
It is.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I am a huge advocate of having kids participate in a variety of activities through at least junior high. I just think that kids are going to be better off in the long run. I specialized pretty early. I quit playing other sports in 7th grade, and I really don't think it made me that much better of a player. I mean, I think just the maturation process, both physically and mentally and emotionally, that was going to come on my timeline, regardless of whether I was specializing in one sport or not. And I really think if I would have had the opportunity to, have different types of team, activities as well as tennis, I don't think it would have hurt my tennis game that much. So, and that's more the personal. On the academic side, I mean, I do study that, and pretty much every youth sport expert will tell you that it is not in a child's best interest to have them specialize in one activity, at a young age, and that if they can become more versatile and, definitely develop in a variety of different areas, a single sport tends to develop a person in a certain way.
Yeah.
So if we can find complementary activities, I think that really benefits kids a lot.
Yeah. Well, there's different sports that help. For example, with your lateral movement.
Right.
Other sports may help with your hand-eye coordination, foot-eye coordination with soccer. They all have something that lends themselves to developing both physically and learning how to work with a team.
Yep, exactly, and that's being part of a team where you have the opportunity to sub in and out, and have a greater interest than yourself. That's a very different sort of model than. I mean, one thing in tennis that's really becoming a lot more popular are the team activities with tennis. So I think tennis is doing a good job in creating more opportunities for kids that are team-based. But a lot of times when you get those high-level tennis players, they're in it for themselves. I mean, it's them on the court, and there's a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of there's a certain mindset that really can be cultivated in that sense. performance. But I think if that's the only focus, they're missing out in some other aspects of development. So
well, that early specialization is really being frowned on across the country. And obviously with our Sports 605 network, we love all the sports. So it's fun to see kids that are crossing over and excelling, or at least having a good time. They may excel in one sport, but they're still participating in others, and they're growing and developing in a lot of other ways, and have a whole other group of friends.
Yeah, so. I think that's a great thing. So I don't know. There was a recent study that came out of UCLA that looked at youth, or the athletes at UCLA who specialized versus those, who's succeeding? Who were the successful athletes at UCLA? And they looked at the age of specialization based on how successful the athletes were.
Really?
And it was really pretty interesting. The more successful athletes at UCLA, and we're talking a Pac-10 school, Division I school, pretty good, one of the best athletic programs in the country. Their more successful athletes specialized on average 2 years later than their less successful athletes.
Really?
Yeah. So it was in the 13-year range to 15-year range.
Okay. So the kids that waited until they were about 15 to begin to go one sport route. Yep. That's really interesting. And something that people need to be thinking about.
I think so. Yeah.
I know it takes a lot for taking the minivan and driving them from one sport to another, but really are contributing to their growth and development all the way around.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll take a quick break and recognize some of our sponsors and thank our sponsors. But we're going to come back and we're going to talk about where are some of the tennis programs across the state of South Dakota. And we also might have a special guest here with us because we got a whole bunch of people in here. And we have some dignitaries and celebrities that are down there on the courts. So we'll be back shortly.
You've worked hard all year. I need you to bring it, dig down deep today. Because today, everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Everybody plays.
Play. When we first learned to work together, it was through play. We learned social skills, give and take, freedom and teamwork through play. There's no age limit on play, no skill level required. Play It Again Sports knows play. We buy and sell new and quality used sports and fitness equipment for less, so everybody can play.
Bet I play. Now it's time to play.
Play It Again Sports.
Play It Again Sports.
Play It Again Sports.
The official sponsor of
all those that play.
Welcome back to Tennis 605's This Week on the Courts. Here with me again is my co-host, Jessie Daw. Say hi, Jessie.
Hi, how's everyone doing out there?
And we're happy to have joining us Eric Weisser. And Eric, you are the president of the Sioux Falls Tennis Association, correct?
I am.
I always want to call it the Sioux Falls Tennis Authority. Tennis Authority.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm surrounded by tennis authorities though here. And also, you're on the USTA Northern Section Board of Directors, correct?
Jessie's on the Board of Directors. I'm a committee member.
Oh, you're a committee
I've served
member?
on a number of committees. Junior team tennis, that's one of my favorites.
Okay.
But I'm currently on the USTA Northern Foundation.
And that's an important to the service that's available through USTA.
Yeah, we give away money. So we give away equipment.
Come on over here and give that money.
The big thing we do is equipment grants for park programs. We also give away money to high school teams through a program called Adopt a Team.
Adopt a Team?
Yeah.
And is that money to help the teams with travel expenses or equipment or court fees?
Yeah, so there's certain criteria that they have to follow.
Okay.
But the money goes to the team to help with travel, help with purchasing carts and balls, and keeping teams alive. So we've supported a number of teams in South Dakota, tons of teams in Minnesota, of course. It's really neat, and all that money, it's supported by USTA Northern. I believe the USTA National supports that, but it comes from league players. They have little fundraising events to help high school kids play tennis. It's pretty neat.
Well, a lot of times we look at, with any sport, are looking at how do we bring more people in, but it's good to hear that the foundation is actually looking at how do we keep people in that are already here, because that's a big part of it, is keeping those customers happy and keeping them involved and able to play. It's really a big part. So, well, we're happy you could join us for this section of This Week on the Courts, because we're going to talk a little bit about facilities across the state. Jessie, you did some research because we were trying to talk about who all is out there and what do we have
Right.
for facilities, and I had no idea.
Yeah, the USTA encourages local communities to develop what are called community tennis associations, or
Okay.
CTAs. And so I was able to get a listing of the CTAs in the state of South Dakota.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and so I can just kind of run through those a little bit if you'd like, because if anyone out there is looking to get connected with tennis, I think if you can find your nearest CTA, that would really be, you know, a useful route to take. So this is in alphabetical order. So
Okay.
Aberdeen has a community tennis association, the Black Hills Tennis Association, Brandon Tennis Association, and Brookings as well.
Now, when people are looking for these, Jessie, can they just, for example, Google those?
Yeah,
Or-
it's going to depend on the specific CTA, whether they have their own hosted website or whether they host their website through the USTA site, or some of them just run off of Facebook pages.
Okay.
But if anybody would like to shoot me an email, I can get them the name of the president of each CTA.
And maybe we can put some contact information on tennis605.com.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so we can do that. Madison, the Millbank Area Association, Mitchell,
Okay.
Pierre, Sioux Falls, with Eric
Sioux
right
Falls,
here.
you know a little bit about that.
Yeah.
The Sioux Falls Tennis
Association.
Authority.
Yeah.
Association.
And Spearfish, Watertown, and Yankton.
Okay.
So-
So there's quite a few of them across there.
There are.
One I did not hear was Rapid City.
Well, they're in the Black Hills.
Oh, Black
yeah,
Hills.
the
that's
Black
right.
Hills Tennis
Black Hills
Association.
Tennis Association. They
Yeah.
probably encompass all that area.
Yes, I mean Spearfish has their own.
Okay.
So I really don't know what area. I know the Black Hills Tennis Association has been very active in the Rapid City
Okay.
area. There are a couple of really nice facilities, public park facilities, and
Yeah.
in the Rapid City area. So the Black Hills Tennis Association is certainly quite involved.
Yeah, they have a
in
really
those.
nice one there at Sioux Park.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
A nice facility there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get that information and make it available on tennis605.com.
Perfect.
And of course you can email Jessie as well and get
Yep.
it here from Jessie. And why don't you give me your email address?
Yeah, my address is Jessie, Jessie, at playthepoint, and point has an E on the end, .com.
See, that's a fun email address.
Yeah.
Jessie at playthepointe.com.
Yeah, playthepointe.com. I like that.
That's cool. So tell us a little bit, if you would, Eric, about the Sioux Falls Tennis Association. Where do your players come from?
Yeah.
What are the age ranges?
Yeah, so we start tennis as soon as you can, hold a racket. So 3 or 4, you can probably find a park to take some lessons at. Majority of our kids, I would say, are probably in that 7 to 11 or 12 range at 4 or 5 parks around Sioux Falls.
Wow.
And in addition, this year, the Youth or Family Match Point is going to be one of our parks, so you can come here and play really inexpensive. We have outstanding people that teach tennis all across the city. A lot of high school and elementary school teachers are teaching lessons. That's the backbone of what we do, is junior lessons. As an adult, I'm involved in leagues. We have adult leagues with about 350 players that play tennis once a week. And you can play more if you'd like, but I play once a week. And it's separated by ability.
Okay.
So
So
if
you have
you want
like
to play,
A, B, C, and the way down there flight?
tennis is a little bit. We have to make it complicated.
Right.
Okay,
so-
help me understand it then.
But the beautiful thing is you self-rate, and so you can go on USTA Northern.com and self-rate yourself. We have leagues that range from 2.5 all the way up to 4.5. 2.5 would be on the beginner
Introductory,
side.
Beginners. Is there a negative number in there?
Not yet.
Okay, but you haven't seen me play. All right, so the adult league then, do they play here at Match Point and then around town at the parks as
So we
well?
play at McKinnon Park, Keene Park, sometimes at Washington.
Okay,
I think those are our 3 main sites, and this is brand new. So if
Yeah.
it's a rainy day, I don't know if they'll move matches out here or not. I suppose we'll play that by ear. But
so then is there a schedule that's put together for the league play? And
Yeah.
when you're scheduled, you're there, or do you?
Yep. So Lydia Healy, she's our league coordinator, and so
Okay.
she gives all the people that signed up a schedule for the entire summer, and it's your responsibility as an adult now to find your own substitutes if you can't
Okay.
play, and that happens all the time.
So if a person is just moving into the area and they're interested in getting involved, is it too late for them to get into the schedule?
They could definitely come in as a sub, and
probably
that's
get
a great
more
way.
playtime than
That's
anybody
right.
else, right?
It's a great way to get started, meet a lot of different people. Lydia is our league coordinator, so she'll put you on the sub list.
Okay.
And as a league player, if I can't make it, I look at that sub list and start calling and look for somebody to take my spot.
Well, that's a good way for a person to break into the league and to get to know new people and to share the passion for tennis.
Right.
That really sounds good. Now, you said you have about 400 adults?
I think it's 300 to 400 adults that play league
and
tennis.
How many kids?
And it's 300 or 400 kids that play park and rec tennis too. Yeah, all over the city.
And to get your kids involved, is it too late to get kids involved?
Definitely not.
Can they come in at any point in the summer?
They can. We'd prefer that they pre-register, of course, but we're not going to turn any kid away that wants to come out and play. So.
Well, we're hoping as the word gets out here through Tennis605 and other means, there'll be other people that may want to try tennis.
Sure.
Because, Jessie and I have been talking, this isn't the only time we've talked about the value of tennis for kids and the importance of being multi-sport. Not specializing too early.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that there will be more kids coming in, not only for Sioux Falls Tennis Association, but for all the other CTAs that Jessie was mentioning earlier, and that they'll be welcomed and given the opportunity to play. So we're hoping that'll happen, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know a lot of these people who are the head of the CTAs in their community. As we were talking a little bit earlier on the first segment, we are all about community in South Dakota for tennis, and these are just some really great people, and they're going to help people get involved. We're all pretty much volunteers, on our CTAs, and we do it because we love the sport, and that we really believe in the value of the sport. And there are other good people who are involved too that we get to volunteer and work alongside. So,
well, it's a great group of people that we've met here through the match point. We're looking forward to talking about high school here in the next section and what's happening there, and college. We're a little late for college this year, but we'll get it next year. But I did want to go on and talk a little bit about some tennis terms and have you guys help me out here. At the reception that you guys were having earlier, and your appreciation and recognition that you've been doing, you're playing a little bit of a trivia game. And you both know I'm a novice when it comes to tennis, so I'm going to throw some terms out, and some of them I think I might know what the answer is, but there may be other people that watch this who have grandkids who play tennis, and they may not know all the terms, so we'll learn along with them.
All right. Are we on a buzzer here? Like when you say the word, we get to... Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can
We're buzzing in?
Say, okay.
I know.
Tennis is sometimes called the game of love. Why?
Yeah, there's a lot of sayings that kind of play on the word love. Another really popular one is love means nothing to a tennis player, and that's because love is zero in tennis. So if when you start a game, the score is love in the game.
Double love.
Yeah. So
love when you start off. So when you hear the score, one love.
Right. If you and I were playing and I was serving, the server's score is always said first, and we start the game, it's love. Nobody really says the score at that point. Well, some people do, but most people don't. And then, more beginners, right? Kind of say it. So, but let's say you won the first point, then the score would now be love 15.
I would love that.
Yeah?
I would love that.
Yeah. So love means nothing to a tennis player.
Okay. Love literally means nothing to a tennis player.
Right.
Okay. This is one that I'm sure I'll become really familiar with when Jessie starts giving me lessons again. Whiff. You want to take that one?
Eric's got that one.
I've never heard of that before. I've never done it.
Come on.
Yeah, so when you swing and miss, that's a whiff.
A swing and a miss.
And that happens, happens to everybody.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what sport you play. A swing and a miss is a whiff.
Yeah.
It does happen to everybody?
I think so.
Yeah, I think everyone has experienced the whiff. Kind of unique. I don't even know if there's a special name for it, Eric, but when somebody misses the strings but the ball gets caught in the throat of their racket, is there a special name for that? Like a special
Not that I know,
whiff?
but that happens.
I think
that probably happens.
We should start a new term like through Tennis605. The bottleneck whiff or something like that. Yeah.
We'll come up. If you have a suggestion
there you go.
For that special kind of a whiff where the ball gets stuck, and we should have a tennis racket here, in the neck of the
throat of the racket.
The throat of the racket.
Yeah.
Go ahead and let us know.
All right.
We'll start a little contest to come up with the best
yeah,
term for
we
that.
could even come up with a little prize.
Yeah, we can.
So,
we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
We'll put it on Facebook or let you know next week.
All right.
Okay, now I have another one. Let.
Okay.
So let is when the ball hits the net. It must be French.
Let.
When the ball hits the net and goes over and into the box, into the appropriate box,
side.
It's a let. It's like a do-over.
Yeah, on a serve.
On a serve, yeah.
Oh, it's a
serve
tennis
term,
do-over.
Yeah.
It's only on a serve?
Only on a serve.
Only on a serve. And interestingly enough, Division I men's tennis removed the let from play just a few years ago.
So you don't get a do-over?
You don't get a do-over.
It's in play.
Let's playable.
Play it.
Yep.
Oh, it's playable if it goes on over.
Yep. If it goes in the box.
What if you go to hit the ball and your racket breaks?
You lose the point. Unless you hit the ball over into the court and your opponent can't return it.
Oh, wow.
But once your racket is broken,
equivalent-
unless you use the, I've never heard of.
Never heard that happening? Well,
Not very often.
Not like that. Usually someone breaks their racket.
Or breaks a string.
Yeah,
If you break the string, you
something
keep going.
broke and it went through. It went right through the racket. You went to do a serve. And
You
Never
gotta,
happened in the history of tennis.
yeah, you got to play with that. So, you'll
that's not a let.
That's
No,
not a let.
definitely not.
No
You'll-
do-overs.
Yeah, you'll notice a lot of times when players break a string, particularly higher level players in a point, they'll automatically start hitting slice and try to get to the net because it becomes a lot easier for them to try to end the point quickly, and it's hard to control your shots with a broken string to the baseline.
Sure.
So you can tell when you're watching a match if somebody. Sometimes you can hear it, but you can tell by the way good players are playing if they broke a string.
So when I'm going for that 15 love
Yep.
with you, if I break a string in my racket, I want to get to the net and start slicing.
Put it away.
Okay. All right. I've got that one down. Okay.
All right.
Now, I've also noticed that the officials, when I looked through the rules for South Dakota High School Activities Association anyway, they refer to umpires and referees. That there's a difference. What is the difference? It seems like an umpire. It seemed to me like, and here I'm asking.
I think
all the high school
I think I
rules.
do know this.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think I
Okay.
do too. But you
Okay.
can go.
So I think the umpire's on the court, and they're actually roving on the court, where the referee is kind of a level above the umpire to oversee the entire tournament. Is that?
I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, from what I gathered in reading it, it sounded like the referee's decision could be questioned and the umpires couldn't.
Oh, maybe
That
it's the
makes
other way
sense?
around.
I would have guessed the other way around.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
that
well,
doesn't.
okay, well, we'll find that out because next weekend is the state high school
Boys.
tennis tournament. So
Right.
we need to know that before then.
And
We
we
do.
have an umpires association in South Dakota, and there's a few in Rapid City, and there's a bunch of umpires and referees in Sioux Falls. And
we'll
they
have
do
to
all
get
of our
them on.
tournaments or as many as they can. Great organization. They get paid a little bit, and I know they're always looking for new referees and umpires too. So.
Sure. So here's our pitch. If you're an umpire or a referee or both, maybe you can be both. I don't
I think
know.
you can be
yeah.
both. yeah.
We would love to have you on the show to talk about what it is because that's part of what we do at Tennis 605 is we not only like to talk about the players, the coaches, and the fans and those who love the game, but the officials are every bit as much a part of the game as the players and the fans and the coaches.
Yeah, I think one interesting thing about tennis compared to a lot of other sports is that actually the level of involvement in terms of umpires and referees is quite a bit less. Most players, and even through high school, and college matches even, the players are calling their own lines.
Okay.
And so, you might have, probably in tournaments in this area, the most you're going to have is a roving umpire.
Wow.
So someone who's just walking around and trying to anticipate or take care of any potential problems. You don't have someone typically on the court dedicated to that court. Even if there is one person, one umpire on that court, the players are still calling their lines. So there's a lot about, people can, they can make bad calls, and they can make bad calls accidentally, or they can make, bad calls on purpose. And so there's, that element of coaching for ethics and coaching for character and helping, young kids and kids as they mature learn how to make the right decisions as they're in the middle of competition. So I think that's something that's unique about tennis too. Eric,
sure.
I don't know if you...
Yeah, it's like mutual trust. You can't play tennis if two people don't trust each other. It's gonna be pretty difficult to play.
Honor system.
Yeah,
Well, that's good to know. That's another valuable lesson that you can learn through the game.
it is.
Well, it is already time for us to take a break and go to our next section
Okay.
and recognize and appreciate some of our sponsors. We really appreciate you being on with us, Eric. And,
Anytime.
Thanks,
we
Eric.
look forward to hearing more, and I'm going to get some tougher questions for you next
All
time.
right.
Okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks for joining us for this section. We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back with This Week on the Courts.
Bargain Bites has a huge supply of refurbished electronics. They're a Microsoft authorized refurbisher. Just look at this. Computers as low as $100 and a wide variety of electronics, all so affordable. Look at these deals. A Dell 4-core laptop, fully tested, only $200. A MacBook, fully tested and ready to go, only $200. Subscribe to the Bargain Bites YouTube channel and get all sorts of great tips from super technician Brendan. Bargain Bites, just east of the airport off Benson Road. Visit them today online at bargainbites.net.
Welcome back to our third and last section. Kind of sad, isn't it, Jessie?
It is. This is our first one. It's going so fast.
Our first show, and it's going so fast. Of this week on the courts with Tennis605, and we're joined for the high school section by Matt Johnson, former coach with Sioux Falls, Washington.
That's right.
And you're also here on the board of directors here at Huether Family Match Point,
yes,
correct?
I am. Yes.
We really appreciate you taking some time with us to talk a little bit about high school.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're excited to have the boys high school tournament here next weekend, but first we need to talk a little bit about who all has programs. So this is what I found from the South Dakota High School Activities Association website. Aberdeen Central and Aberdeen Roncalli, Brandon Valley, Brookings, Huron, Madison, Millbank, Mitchell, PRTF, Riggs, Rapid City Central, Rapid City Christian. I think they're a newcomer to the
They
Tennessee.
are, yes.
Excuse me. You want it, Jessie?
Sure. Rapid City Stevens and Sioux Falls Christian is new this year as well.
Yep.
Sioux Falls Lincoln, O'Gorman, Roosevelt, and Washington. And then Spearfish has a team, St. Thomas More out in Rapid City, and Vermilion, Watertown, and Yankton.
So we got a few teams, a few schools that have programs. And then last week, May 9th, was the Metro Conference tournament. And of course the Metro Conference is Brandon Valley, Sioux Falls O'Gorman, Sioux Falls Roosevelt, Washington, and Lincoln, and they all played at McKinnon Park.
Yeah.
Now, I did try and pull some stats off of the South Dakota High School Activities Association website, but it's a little difficult because they aren't all compiled in one area. You have to go to each school's team, and then you have to go to each event to pull that together. Excuse me. So I didn't get it all pulled together. I apologize.
That's right.
But I did learn that Metro Conference Tournament team points, Lincoln won.
Yes.
69 team points. Washington had 57, O'Gorman 53, Roosevelt 29, and Brandon Valley pulled up the tail end there with 26 for the Lynx. So that's what happened last weekend. Now, did you hear much about the Metro Conference last weekend, or last week?
Well, I know that it was, that I think Lincoln was predicted to do well in the Metro Conference tournament and to do well in the state tournament. I know that Washington has some really good tennis players on their team as well. I know that Jillian Hurley is the new coach at Washington, and she's doing a great job. And so that doesn't surprise me that the results ended up that way. So I know that there was some close matches, and it was a good tournament.
Yeah, from what I could see looking up, I did find some of the matches, and there's some close ones. Lincoln, of course, has two brothers that are playing, and we'll talk about them a little bit here later.
Yeah.
But, and of course, you have a bit of a soft spot in your heart for Washington. We certainly understand that.
I do, but I'm real close friends with a lot of the coaches, and so we still stay in touch and, of course, give each other a hard time.
Of course.
And, it's a fraternity, right?
Yes, we wouldn't expect anything different.
Right.
And then coming up this weekend, May 15th and 16th, is the Sioux Falls Invite East-West Invitational. And I think that's Rapid City and Sioux Falls teams. Rapid City comes out here and they play each other because also this coming weekend on the 15th starts the ESD tournament in Watertown. And that involves everybody except for Sioux Falls and Rapid City pretty much. We have Aberdeen Central, Brandon Valley, Brookings, Huron, Mitchell, Pierre, Yankton, and Watertown. They'll be playing that at Watertown High School.
Yeah.
So those events are coming up.
Yeah, I coached in the ESD over the last few years, and then Roncalli boys are not in the ESD, but a little bit familiar with the ESD conference, and that ESD tournament is pretty grueling. They play it all in one day, and they play the singles all morning and play it out, and then the entire singles brackets, and then in the afternoon they come back and play the doubles.
And the doubles, wow.
Yeah, it's a long day.
2 days of
1 day.
1 day?
One day.
The ESD is 1 day. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they play it more. The ESD tournament is more like how the state tournament is formatted. The East-West Invitational is more of a team concept, dual matches.
All right.
And I kind of like the way that they have the ESD tournament. Although it's all done in one day, but it gets them prepared for in a couple weekends the state tournament. So it's a good preparation.
Yeah, because the state tournament's just what is it, 6 days later?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Speaking of the ESD tournament, I've been hearing some good things about the Mitchell team. That Mitchell team may be the one to beat.
There are a lot of really good athletes on the Mitchell team, and they have a senior in Jacob Sersasimo who's playing #1 for them. He's a really good athlete, and he comes from a tennis family. His older sister has played tennis, and also really good athletes. I mean, one of his older sisters, high school tennis in South Dakota, and then went to, I think, Southern Utah as a gymnast.
Oh, wow.
And I think she writes for the newspaper now, a sports editor. So, that's quite the athletic family there in Mitchell, and I know that Jacob. Has been working really hard on both his tennis game and his hockey game.
Yeah, he's an incredible athlete.
Yeah.
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
He has a lot of style.
Mm-hmm. And the rest of the team too. A lot of athletes on that team. So I saw them play at Washington a few weeks ago when Aberdeen was down. They had a triangular with Aberdeen Central and Mitchell and Washington, and a lot of good tennis.
Mitchell looked pretty good there.
Yeah,
they all did.
They did.
It's interesting. I think what Mitchell does really well is, even though tennis is an individual sport, they create this team dynamic, and all of those players are really close because they've participated in other sports together, and they're very competitive. And as Jessie said, they're very athletic, and that can take you a long ways in a high school sport where you have that cohesiveness between your team. Not that other teams don't have it, but I think they've got it just a little bit more, and that really helps.
Well, and Mitchell used to be considered a powerhouse in the basketball side. Back in the Mike Miller days, especially Skinny Miller. Back when Skinny was playing elementary, middle school, high school ball, it was really a basketball powerhouse. But now that's extended into a lot of other sports in Mitchell.
Yep.
You're absolutely right, and I think it has something to do with their sense of team.
Yeah.
That does make a difference.
I think that speaks a little bit to what we were talking about in the first segment with, whether athletes choose to specialize early or choose to participate in a variety of sports. And I know, just using Jacob as an example, he also played football in the fall. And so, multi-sport athlete, and, here he is in the spring, playing #1 on a team that could be a contender for the state title.
Yep.
So.
Well, and you hear this a lot from college coaches, too. It's not just the sports psychologists and the doctors who are saying don't specialize too early, it causes more injuries, it doesn't make for well-rounded individuals. But I'm hearing that more and more across the board from all kinds of sports, college coaches, they want a more well-rounded individual. They'd rather wait as long as possible before specializing, and maybe wait until college even.
Yeah, I think there's a nice graphic that went around the internet for quite a while from Urban Meyer at Ohio State that showed that I think out of his 40-some recruits, either this year or last year, only 5 of them were dedicated football players and 5-star recruits. The rest were multi-sport athletes, and that's Ohio State. Typically one of the best football programs in the country. So.
You'll hear it, Matt. Jesse and I are on a soapbox. We get on our soapbox about the importance of not specializing too early and being a multi-sport athlete and being well-rounded. And tennis, of course, is another one of those sports where kids can add to their well-roundedness.
Yeah.
Is there such a word as well-roundedness?
I'll take it.
Balance, we'll take it.
Well, and there's so many different movements in tennis that are similar to. I was a basketball player and a tennis player, and so there's lateral movement in basketball, obviously. So that's why I'm a big proponent of teaching my kids the lifetime sport of tennis. And the unfortunate part of it is that tennis can become so technical that in order to reach that elite level, sometimes kids specialize too soon. And that's the unfortunate part. I see that in tennis and other technical sports like gymnastics is a very technical sport, and so there aren't any sports that are just a season anymore.
No.
So I'll jump on top of your soapbox, and it's unfortunate that kids are now being asked to play baseball, 9 months out of the year at age 8 or 9 years old, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, and we just there are some kids that may be the direction that they want to go. You know, our boys were soccer players. They also played basketball and wrestled, played some football, and they wanted to play hockey. And they played some tennis and golf. But that was just a fun thing they did with their friends. But sometimes when they look back now as adults, and even though one of them is now a professional college coach in soccer, he said he could have probably gone to a few less soccer events as a kid growing up, enjoyed a little more family time, and tried a few other sports a little bit more in depth. So he looks back now and says it wouldn't have hurt me.
Yeah.
So it might have helped me. So I think I hope people listen to that and think about it. That you know, you don't have to get them on their Olympic career path when they're 7 years old.
Right.
No.
So, okay, getting off that soapbox.
Yeah.
Here, move the
We'll
soapbox
step down.
Yeah.
Step down.
Let's do a quick overview of what's going to happen with the boys tennis tournament next weekend. And we'll come back next week with the show and we'll have a little more information. But we just want to let you know it will be held here in Sioux Falls and in Brandon on May 21st and 23rd. The outdoor court sites will be at McKenna Park and Washington High School and at Brandon Middle School. Now, you're going to have to help me understand this. The tournament will be a 32-player draw format with 5 rounds of competition. What does that mean?
So essentially they take each individual flight, so flight 1 players will play flight 1 players from other teams.
And
A 32,
flight 1 being
the best flight,
best of the,
right?
Okay.
Flight 1, and then flight 6 being the other flight 1 through 6. And so typically what they do is they'll have flights 1 and 2 at one site, flights 3 and 4 at another site.
So you don't
and I
have
can't speak to the actual sites right now, and then flights 5 and 6 at another site.
And I think they don't have them specifically all laid out. They have a sample.
They do, yeah. I'm pretty sure that 1 and 2 are at McKenna,
Yep.
3 and 4 at Washington, and 5 and 6 at Brandon Valley.
Yeah.
So if you're a sixth flight player, you don't have to worry about being compared to a first flight player on the court next to you.
Yep.
Right, right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And so what happens is the coaches all get together prior to the tournament starting. Usually it's the day before, and they seed out each flight.
Yep.
And they base that on the records of the individual players, and so it says it's a 32 draw player draw,
32 draw.
and so there's 22 teams, which means there's be some what we'd call play-in matches.
Okay.
The higher seeds would get a first round bye.
Okay.
You
And
put
then they have to win their next game though to stay in, right? To get their bye points. I think I read
Right.
that somewhere.
Exactly.
Right.
Very good. Very good.
See, I-
It gets a little complicated, and it's an interesting conversation with families that maybe aren't familiar with a draw and the different rules that go with it. When I wasn't coaching the boys in the boys tennis season, I would help out with the girls state tournament, and it's an actual nice little conversation to have with families to let them know how points are won or not won, and the consolation side of the bracket and the championship side of the bracket. So
it's kind of interesting how that all works out. And they do have the seed meeting the day before. That will be on the 21st, I think.
20th, I believe.
20th, yeah. On the 20th, they'll have that meeting, and then the coaches review the brackets
Yeah.
and make necessary adjustments based on injury or illness.
Yes. There are possibilities that if somebody gets ill or injured, the day before, particularly in singles. In doubles, they changed the rule just a few years ago. I'm not sure if you're aware, Matt. They can now, if you and I are playing doubles together, no mixed doubles in high school tennis. But let's just say,
you were.
and I got injured. A player could then, and we'd already played our first match.
Yes.
They now have a new rule where the coach can substitute another player in.
Oh, okay.
So
that,
for an injured
Matt
player.
doesn't lose out on his ability to
Right, to continue to get points for the team.
Okay.
In the singles draw, if somebody gets injured or ill and can't continue, it's just a default of the match, and you lose those points. Because essentially, every round, there's a point level attached to that, and the Flight 1 wins have more points attached to them than the Flight 2, than the Flight 3, than the Flight 4, and so on.
Makes sense.
So that's how the overall winner is determined. But then you also have a winner of each flight. Flight 1 through 6 of singles, and then there are 3 doubles flights as well.
3 doubles flights, 6 singles flights.
Right.
Okay. Well, that sounds all very interesting how that's all going to work. And they said for all the place matches, points are awarded for each match played and won.
Yep.
Additional second round points will be awarded to the winner of the 8 matches in the second round of championship play, and players receiving a first round bye, this is where I read it, must win their second round championship match or their second round consolation match before they get the points for bye.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and so they have the points done well in that the first flight win is worth more points than a second flight, than a third flight.
Okay.
So it
that would be those kind of points that they have there.
So it's basically the coaches are deterred from doing any type of sandbagging, is the term that we would use.
By putting a player in a lower, because they won't get the points they need.
Yeah,
Right.
and then doubles, which I like, because doubles is even worth more points.
Yep.
So, and they change it, but
These are
the
flight
point totals, so for Flight 1 doubles, Flight 1 singles is 20 points per win, as opposed to Flight 1 doubles is 24 points per win.
Okay.
So that it becomes really interesting, because what ends up happening is the doubles matches are the last ones that are played on that Saturday, of the tournament, and so.
It can come down.
It can come down to a doubles match, and if it's worth 24 points or whatever it is, it can mean difference between a first place or a second place. Or
Right. And there's even sometimes situations where a match will be on the court, and it doesn't involve your team, but that match is going to impact how your team finishes once you get to the end of the tournament. And so there's a lot of people standing. The last part of the tournament is pretty exciting, because you have a lot of people standing and watching, and it's a really
doubles.
Yeah, it's a really neat environment, and I love doubles too. I mean, I think doubles is just such a fantastic game, along with singles, and I love a good doubles match. I love to watch good doubles and play good doubles. So.
Well, we're excited. Again, that's next weekend, May 21st through the 23rd, and it will be at Brandon Valley Middle School. And we think that that's going to be the Flight 5 and 6.
Yep.
And 3 doubles.
And number 3 for the doubles, probably.
Yeah.
And then for Flights 3 and 4, did you think they were going to be at
Washington
High School?
Yep.
And probably number 2, the second flight of doubles.
Yeah, at least for the first day.
And then the McKinnon Park for Flights 1 and 2, and the singles, and Flight 1 and the doubles.
Correct.
Most likely. Okay.
And then, of course, if there's any
Bad
type of
weather.
inclement weather,
Well, maybe
why don't we just come out here?
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe the schedule is Flights 1 through 3 out here.
Okay.
So.
Anytime you have it's a state tournament or a state championship, it's important to have a backup plan.
Yes.
And if it were me playing, this would be my primary plan. The outdoors would be the backup. No sunscreen required.
Right.
Or umbrellas.
Yes.
And then also using the courts at Great Life. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then are we
and
using
Westward
at the
Ho.
Country Club of Sioux Falls?
Yes.
Now the new
the
name.
The Country Club of Sioux Falls.
Yeah,
I
so-
believe the plan is Flights 1 through 3 would come here,
Okay.
4 and 5 to Woodlake, and 6 to Westward Ho, I think is the tentative plan.
Okay.
So.
So there's a plan in
But
place.
it's going to be sunny and beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Well, maybe.
it's always
We'll see.
Yeah.
What is it? It's always sunny in Sioux Falls. Is that how it goes?
I
Or
wish.
that was Philadelphia.
If you don't like the
maybe.
weather, just wait 5 minutes. It'll change. Is that it?
What were they saying earlier in the week here or over the weekend? How many states do you see where there's a tornado warning and a blizzard warning simultaneously in the same state?
Right.
And when they said that on the national news, I thought they obviously don't follow South Dakota weather that often, because it happens quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough week.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us on this week on the courts, our very first episode.
Thanks for having
And
me.
we
Yeah.
appreciate you being here. And Jessie, it's been a wonderful time getting this all done.
Yes.
I want to thank you for joining us. Again, I'm Carol McKee, and I am with Tennis605.
And I am Jessie Daw.
And Matt Johnson.
And you are Tennis605.